right, I think we are now live. Hello, hello, hello. Didn't retry my test from yesterday to see if I could get myself on YouTube's Shorts live stream. So I'm still out on Twitch and on YouTube, or at least I hope I am. And we're here to celebrate. I'm trying to break a dog treat. I realized I hadn't explained what I was doing. I was just sitting here going like this, trying to break what looks like a small stick. Because it's what it is. I got it. Sit. I'm exhausted today. Yes, welcome everyone. Sorry for that. I have to time it that way. It's not, I promise you, it's not the like, oh, I want everybody to see my dogs. I don't give a shit. It's that I've, like a shitty Pavlov, trained them to, when I do the live stream voice, that means you come to me for a treat because you don't, initially, it was because they're like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? Who the hell are you talking to? Like, get out of here. And I give them a treat just to leave me alone. But then I planted that seed in their mind that that voice means treats. So I have to wait till the live stream to start. But you know, it has a side benefit of showing dogs, I guess. Welcome, Disconnected Automaton. I always love saying that name. Thanks for being here. You're our first guest of the day. So you can see I don't have the Volcano, our usual trusty Volcano here. Don't worry, she's fine. I actually just I actually just ran out of flour. I ground most of mine up from my little Mighty capsules. Now, Disconnected Automaton says, why yo hair look like Jimmy Neutron's mom? I didn't realize that I did, or it did, but now I cannot wait to look up what Jimmy Neutron's mom looks like. Jimmy Neutron's he's the early CGI Wunderkind, right? Ugly little fathead running around in a rocket and shit. Jimmy Neutron's mom. Let's see. Okay. I'll give it to you. There's a surprisingly... Oh, wait, I'm not on Google. I'm on Bing, or not Bing's, Brave's search. Ain't so good. I was gonna say there's not as much Jimmy Neutron art. Jimmy Neutron's art of Jimmy Neutron's mother. There we go. Out there as I would have thought. Just, any cartoon from that era normally has a lot of very foul images of them online. Jimmy Neutron mom. Okay. I think I see it. It's like the little, I guess my hair's a little curly. I'm going to share a picture. You guys decide for yourself who wore it better, me or Jimmy Neutron's mother. Judy Neutron. Jimmy and Judy Neutron. I bet you if you searched Judy Neutron Rule 34, you would see some disgusting things. I gotta admit, I think Judy Neutron does wear it better. But I think we both have our own spin on 50s housewife hair. So I don't have my Volcano, ran out of flour, but we are here on this live stream. Welcome, Sega, to celebrate. We were given warning of it last night. Actually, one of our best friends here on Wheat stopped by on the stream to say, "Hey, had you heard the rumor?" And I said, "No, what's that?" He said, "The DEA is thinking about reclassifying weed. And sure enough, the very next day, the rumor proves to be true and looks to be sort of taking effect immediately. It is downgraded from a Schedule 1 highest level narcotics to a Schedule 3, a pretty much more permissive narcotic. Now, I don't actually know what that means in practical terms for weed in the very near future. What restrictions will loosen? What penalties will be pulled back? I don't actually know, because it doesn't mean that in any sense that it's legal still. And it also doesn't mean that the states in which it is still illegal, that there will be any kind of immediate change there. I assume states are still free to make it illegal. All kinds of states have different laws about all kinds of different substances. So I just don't know. I mean, it is definitely a moral victory in the sense of, like, yes, of course it's not weed is not heroin and shouldn't be categorized as such. But in terms of practical, like, what, I guess maybe you won't get in as much trouble if you get caught with weed at the airport. Most of this stuff would still happen at the federal level. Okay. That is probably also a benefit, is it's going to make it way easier to do studies, to get funding for studies for weed projects, because it is very difficult to both get the substances. Well, not true for weed, but for all the other Schedule 1 substances, and to get funding from government sources or foundations to give you money to study those things if they are highly illegal. They're way up on the schedule chart. So that is probably also a swing benefit. Now, I did, to any Eagle Eye viewers, I wish I had been a little bit better about it. I did get my Puffco up and running. I had so many people asking about it recently. I've tested it out to make sure this atomizer works. It does. Battery still seems to have a nice charge. It charged it all up, but it was, even after not using it for over 2 years, it turned right on, charged up. So let's do ourselves a Puffco peek for Disconnected and Sega, and for the United States of America finally, begrudgingly, belatedly coming to its senses. Got to get my concentrate down into this little bowl here. Probably shouldn't have used such a sticky concentrate. Don't have to worry about this one with the mini now. Go on. There it goes, finally in its little nested chamber. So we've got our Puffco Peak here, DX2, welcome. This is I did a little small, tiny test before stream, barely anything, just to make sure it was working. But this is going to be my first Puffco dab in 2.5 years, maybe? That's exciting. I got to remember how we do this. Do I double click, single click? Single click to change the temperature. And double click to heat it. DX2 says, happy you are back. I enjoy your channel. Well, thanks, DX2. I'm very glad to be back. And hey, let's hope now that, weed is as lowly rated as, what are some of our other Schedule 3 substances, strong cough syrups and things, I'm sure. Maybe. Oh shit, I forgot to put my carb cap on. Oh, that's nice. Oh, wow. Yeah. Oh man, I forgot how nice this is. This is the Puffco peak at its absolute best. It's really all downhill from here until you clean it all again. But grovel, pat yourself on the back, my friend. Congratulations. When I saw the news an hour or two ago or whatever, I was like, he nailed it. And oh, good to see we've got also not just Grovel, but Vitalia and Kalmyar. Good to see you both. Thanks for being here. We've got our Puffco peak back in rotation in celebration of this schedule reclassification. And I'm happy to be here. Happy to bust out the old Puffco peak. It's great for the moment before it starts to. I'm super impressed that it started right up. This atomizer is working for the moment, and that hit when the Puffco it is like this, when it's working great. I do like it better than the Mini now. I think it just makes way cleaner, easier hits. It's like a joy to use. There's just a very satisfying experience. The whole thing. It's got this haptic feedback. It's great. And the Mini now, while it is functional and as easy as can be, I don't look at my disgusting rig. Haven't cleaned it because this is the last time I'm going to be using it, at least for this purpose. I'm gonna need to upgrade it. I think it's just not big enough for the Mini now and causes all these issues with trying to draw it and not having enough airflow, just problems. So, but the Puffco, man, real great. Let's hope it keeps working this well for a while. Let's do another small little dab. And good to see everybody. By the way, Vitalia says, see you in space. And Kamyar says, Jesus was a stoner and Wheats is a stoner. He's not saying, he's just saying. He's just saying. He's not, making any greater argument than that. Just making the observation, this one guy was a stoner, and this other guy who looks kind of like him, but not really, also a stoner. Connect the dots, do the math, get the red yarn. Katy, welcome, Katy. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. Happy reclassification, rescheduling day. And Grovel, yes, it is not just going down one step, but like you had also mentioned last night, you were hoping it was going to go just hop skip over 2 and go right down to 3. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the stream, I don't actually know what specifically that means in practical terms in the near future. What will change for people's in their day-to-day existence now that it is a Schedule 3 drug? I can't imagine much. It might just, you might get in less trouble for smoking weed at a national park. You might not get in such big trouble for having weed in your bag at the airport. I think it'll make it easier to do research, funding, that kind of stuff. But it's not going to change the, like, if you're in Tennessee and you light up a blunt right in front of a cop, you can absolutely still go to prison. It doesn't change the state's legality to it. Unless the state has like a statute that's like pegged to the federal classification. I don't know. But my guess is it will remain illegal in the states that it is illegal. But some of these things are fuzzy to me. Let's do a second dab on our resurrected Puffco Peak. Speaking of Jesus, things coming back to life. Disconnected Automaton says, if I like convenience and lots of airflow with massive vapor, is the Puffco Peak great for that? Or do you suggest the Volcano, or a vape, Dynavape, or something else? Well, I will always be partial to my Volcano, to a point that you shouldn't really trust me because I'm such a proselytizer for it. It's, I've had mine for 8 years. It works as great now as the day I purchased it. It's so easy to maintain. It is the easiest, like there is so little maintenance with the Volcano. It is incredible. It's such an underappreciated fact about it. I definitely would not recommend the Puffco Peak over the Volcano, unless you are just so much more into concentrates or whatever. They're just not on the same plane of existence. This thing is finicky and breaks often and requires just as much time cleaning it and maintaining it as it does that you'll ever get using it, actually. But I mean, it's still, when it does work, it's incredible. And speaking of, let's check that out. I have not done the Aura Vape myself, Disconnected Automaton, and the Dynavape, or Dynavap Vape, and whatever it is. I know we have a lot of people who love it here in stream. A lot of people who absolutely swear by it. And I think it's cheaper than the Volcano. The Volcano is crazy expensive, too. So you definitely want to factor that into any kind of decision that you would consider, too, is the cost. The high-end Volcano is like $800 or something. Whereas the Puffco is $250, something like that. Grovel says you still need a prescription and it can only be refilled 5 times before you need another. And I can't believe they did not do this on 420. Grovel, great point. And Grovel, I do, now that once you say it, like I see the Veep episode in my head playing right now. And it's like, you can just imagine the people in the Biden administration sitting there, like debating whether or not to do this thing on 420. It's like, well, you can play, it's like, oh, we'll get the stoner vote. We'll get the stoner vote. And then somebody was like, well, the stoners never vote for anybody. They'll forget about they'll forget that Joe Biden is president by the time November comes around. And then other people are like, oh, that's tacky. It's tacky. It's like, you're going to, I can imagine hours and hours of banal, boring, pointless conversations about whether or not to announce this news on 420 or not, whether it would be seen as too on the nose for the government to do something so cheeky. But you know what I say, Grovel? Damn them for not doing it, because they had to have known by 420 that this was going to happen. I, in some ways, though, it would be the most tacit admission of, yeah, we know this was a dumb thing that we did for a long time for no reason, and we're gonna just make a sort of funny LOL meme about it. Even though, yes, as the federal government, we have been incarcerating people for this until fairly recently. So I could see where it would have been considered in bad taste now to be like, hey, we're the federal government, weed jokes on 420, weed's cool now. Ignore the fact that just 5 years ago we were, spending millions of dollars prosecuting these cases a year. Aren't we cool? I'm trying to get this weed into my bowl. Another downside here. Don't use sticky concentrates because it's got to get sort of precisely dropped into this ceramic bowl. And it's concentrate, and it tends to stick. Go on, little booger. Go on. There it goes. Okay, Sam, good to see ya. And Emil, Mr. Jimenez says, moving to Schedule 3 substances would disrupt the entire legal cannabis industry. Every dispensary would have to register with the DEA. I doubt such an initiative would actually go through. Well, it is going through. And that, obviously, I didn't even think about that. That is probably the single biggest, thank you, Mr. Jimenez, for bringing that up. Because commerce will be the biggest single thing affected by this. I hope we've been talking so much about money, in weed and the eventual nationalization, and this may be it right here. This frees up things like, I assume, banking, interstate commerce. This is the thing that the weed industry groups have been just frothing at the mouth, sitting there twiddling their fingers in greedy anticipation for a long, long time. And I'm not sure what gates have been opened in terms of commerce, but certainly some have. And it'll be real interesting to see who the winners are going to be in this just tidal wave of cash coming the weed industry's way. If you thought there was money in it before, hoo boy. Gravel says, if Schedule 1 did not disrupt the legal industry, Schedule 3 will be fine. I tend to agree with Gravel here. I don't know why making it less illegal, more easily bought and sold for specific purposes, how that would make commerce more difficult or be more disruptive than being flat out illegal. But I would love to hear your case. CB Punisher, welcome CB. He says, what is your opinion on mushrooms? I always felt that magic mushrooms should have been legalized before weed, although I'm happy to see both of them taking baby steps in that respect. And he also mentions that magic mushrooms also being Schedule 1 is ridiculous. Okay. So I see what Mr. Jimenez's point is. He's saying Schedule 1 substances cannot be prescribed, really, in any real way. The only way you're going to get a Schedule 1 substance legally is through some, government study or, government permitted drug something that would allow and it's not going to be, nobody's going to write you a prescription for heroin. You're going to get it in from a scientist in a controlled setting, blah, 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 blah. Those trials and things do go on for very illegal substances. So I think he is speculating that because it now will be legal to be bought and sold at pharmacies and things, it will change the entire regime. And actually, in a weird, okay, I see where I this is going to be okay. There are going to be a lot of first and second order and effects from this. That this is news, is hot off the press, and you make such an interesting point now that I think about it. Yeah, it's like, okay, so if it is in the same category as, let's look up Schedule 3 substances. Hold on. And, well, you know what? I'm going to do this before I go over the list. It's mostly it's a lot of benzos and opiates and things, but not the really bad ones. Things with some medical usage and still a decent ability to be abused. Those things you have to get prescriptions for. There is no such thing as a dispensary for chlorohexidol or dihydrocodeine or cough syrup with codeine in it. Those things have to be prescribed by a doctor, and okay, so what are they going to do? And Grovel, as you already said, there are already notions of what you will have to do, which is that a prescription can only be used 5 times before you have to get a new prescription for weed. But is that going to be true in all of the legal states? Is that the way we're going to? That can't be. That cannot be. They're not going to do that. I cannot believe that the Biden administration would nuke the weed market the way it is established right now. Because I don't know. I don't know what actually this entails. Surely they are not going to be that. They're not just going to be selling weed through pharmacies. There has to be some kind of carve out, something in this already, for the quasi-legal weed industries in all the states. I cannot imagine that there isn't something written into this somewhere at some level where somebody's like, well, wait, we can't just destroy the whole dispensary industry and consumer market for weed, and just have it be I don't know. The story I read from NBC and shared on our Discord doesn't go into any of this really. But I cannot. If this is, I thought this was a pretty naked but welcome political ploy by the Biden administration to get people interested and motivated, and a good point for his side. But if the side, if the consequence of just making it less illegal cannot also be that it actually, in effect, makes it far more difficult to acquire for hundreds, probably, of millions of Americans, theoretically, who are living in legal states. Interesting. Wow, I don't know. Grovel, You make such fascinating points, great points. I still grovel agree with you. I do not think, I cannot imagine Biden is going. I mean, I don't think there are hundreds of thousands of people in California employed in the weed industry that would, the majority of them would be out of a job very quickly. Um, and similar in other numbers in other states. I can't. Yeah, it's just not going to happen that way. It can't. It would. It would. The consequences of that would be brutal for so many states where weed is such a huge industry. Wow. So I wonder how they're gonna let this happen, because I think Emil has an excellent point too. That yes, now that it is actually a controlled substance that is prescribed by pharmacists and doctors all across the United States, it does change the whole legal regime around it. And in this weird, ironic way, the fact that weed was the most illegal meant that it was actually easier to have this gray market going, because you could skirt all of the very strict but boilerplatey kind of rules and laws that all of the industries that make, drugs, prescription drugs, are in. I don't know. Fascinating. Surely the answer is already out there. This cannot be an unknown question. It has to be known. There's just, it would cause too much chaos. Let's do this Puffco that I've been holding for so long. I've just been so enmeshed in this whole conversation, and I didn't even answer somebody's question about mushrooms, CB punishers. Welcome, John J. MMA, by the way. Good to see you, man. Here we go. It is dab time. Heating up. Mushrooms. CB Punisher. I have done mushrooms 3 or 4 times. I found them pleasant, fun, mildly mind expanding. In that like fun, you make new connections with things. You make some surprising revelations that you and if you they're mostly bullshit, of course, fueled by mushrooms, but and I will try to get into it too much. Keep moving. Wow, that is so nice. I like that a lot. Yeah, that is even nicer than I remember. It's gonna suck when it starts getting shitty on me in a couple hours. But magic mushrooms. Find them cool, enjoyable, but I don't think I have the, and this is, studies on all of these things aren't great, but of the data that is out there, there seems to be maybe about 25%, maybe a little less of the population that does not experience any kind of hallucinogens, uh, hallucination on magic mushrooms or LSD or I mean, I would see the most mild of visual distortions, a glimmer or a wave here, but I was with people who did less than I did every time, because I would love to experience those things, and people on significantly less were considerably more affected by the same mushrooms. Same is true the 2 times I've done LSD. I also found it pleasant, enjoyable, mildly mind expanding, but no interesting visual distortions, patterns, hallucinations, no audible or audio hallucinations. Why am I so fat-tongued today? Yeah, I don't think so I've done, all those things several times and haven't had a really profound experience on them. Enjoyable every single time, but nothing like you would imagine when somebody says like, "Oh, I was tripping on mushrooms or LSD." I'm not sure why it is. I would love to, but I think I'm just in that percentage that doesn't get all the cool added perks and benefits. Now, to the further question and a reason for bringing it up, do I think that they should be like moved from Schedule 1? Absolutely. It seems to me that magic mushrooms and LSD, all the psychedelics, really do actually have maybe actually potentially greater medical benefits than weed, especially when you look at the rates of really scary and sad mental illnesses that young people are experiencing, the 20 and under set, with crippling depression and anxiety and a myriad of other even worse mental illnesses, and some of those things seem to be prime candidates for psychedelic assisted therapy. I think all that stuff is fantastic. I think we definitely could use new tools to help battle and treat those things, because they are becoming like the primary health concern for young people. Not mental health, but just health, period. And there is no reason right now to see or to think that that trend will reverse on its own. And I don't think people understand how bad our current mental health treatment substances, pharmacological substances are. Like things like your SSRIs, or what's the other one? MAOIs. No, that's a drug. Whatever the other 4-letter acronym for antidepressant. All of our big antidepressants, they just really don't work. The majority of them, it's hardly better than chance that it will do anything to lessen your mental health issues. And man, if getting stoned on mushrooms and feeling like you're being reborn through the cloaca of the universal mother tortoise, more power to you, brother. I wish I could join you on that trip, but I seem to just be able to get kind of let me put it this way. I have done, as I said, more than anybody I was ever with, and not at all like the people I'm with. I have been on a lot. I've done mushrooms 4 times, LSD twice, and all of those times, I would have been never would have not been comfortable like not that I did this or whatever, driving, riding a bike, going to the grocery store, having a conversation with people online. I just they don't have that same effect on me, but I love that they are having an effect on others, and I sincerely genuinely hope that all of these early studies, plus all the studies that we were doing in like the 50s and 60s on these substances, before we got also chased and drug averse, thanks Nixon, really suggest that these things can do a lot of good. And one more thing before we move on about psychedelics, and that I think is so, this one is undersold, maybe because it is, all the headline ones are about, helping people quit smoking, helping people work through their depression, helping people work through their grief, a variety of just tough things. The ones that I find most compelling and most like the potential for maybe the most good for society writ large, because I think this is something truly every single one of us could benefit from, is that they are supposed to, and the way we know this is from doing tests on people who have terminal illnesses, who have been given psychedelic assisted therapy, is they help you come to terms with your own mortality and impending death. Many people who have had a rapid expiration date, oh, that's a crass way of describing that, like a 6-month diagnosis, have been given psychedelic assisted therapy, and they go from being just paralyzed by that and just sort of overwhelmed by the thought that they have no time left, to absolutely coming to terms with it, sort of in some weird way embracing it, using it as a motivating factor to do all the things left in life that you always wanted to do. And that sounds incredible to me. That sounds amazing. Who wouldn't want to take a drug that makes you think death isn't so scary? Please. I mean, I hope it doesn't increase like, and certainly there's no suggestion of this, but as long as it doesn't increase your like risk, attitudes towards like risky behaviors, that just sounds like a good fucking thing. Who doesn't want to just have like a way more chill attitude about dying one day? Wouldn't it be great to be one of those people? It's like, yeah, man. I mean, I try and sometimes say I'm one of those people. It's like, I'm not worried about dying. Bullshit, you lying asshole. It's like everybody worries about dying. Dying fucking blows. But just imagine doing some mushrooms or some LSD, chilling with a shrink, coming out 6 hours later and being like, hey man, when it's my time, it's my time. That sounds so neat. Yeah, I think it's real cool. All right, I'm moving on. Sorry, that was a very long one. Let's get another small. I've really been enjoying the Puffco as it is working at the moment. Let's do another one. Get caught up on chat. It's been a lively one today. CB Punisher, back to our scheduling talk, says basically Schedule 1 means that it has no medical use, and Schedule 2 and 3 means there's some limited medical use despite magic mushrooms and marijuana working on PTSD, which is obviously good. Yes, as we were all just covering, sorry to repeat you there, the fact that magic mushrooms are still a Schedule 1 is a fucking sin. When the evidence is as good as it is. Oh, that's the last thing I wanted to mention about the evidence too, is it seems to have a lasting effect. There are a lot of mental health treatments that have a short-term effect for whether it be, like trying to discourage a particular behavior or, whatever the case may be. There's some mental health interventions you can do that might work for a couple of months before things sort of return to a baseline. But it seems with psychedelics, frequently that whole process means far less treatment, far less chance of relapsing, or it tends to be stickier than other mental health treatments, which is another just good. Great questions about magic mushrooms. It's great to see us West Coast states starting to open things up, experiment just like we did with weed. Hopefully it is on a much more accelerated speed than it was with weed. No pun intended. Or not pun, rhyme. No rhyme intended. These Puffco peaks hit pretty hard, I gotta admit. Okay, CB Punisher says, I think Trump is the wild card in this. If he thinks legalizing marijuana and mushrooms will get him votes, I have no doubt he'll do it. That would force Biden to expedite legalization, so either way is good. I similarly have few doubts that Trump would say the things that he needs to say to get votes. Whether he would actually follow through with said things is a much different story. But I assume Trump. I don't understand why Biden and Trump both haven't just more completely and totally, wholly embraced weed. We've talked about it many times here. It is so overwhelmingly popular. Just in red states, blue states, it doesn't seem like it is going, that there's a downside. Like, it's not going to, I don't think you're going to lose votes by saying you support weed legalization. I think all you risk is not gaining some. But I cannot imagine if Trump is, comes in October, God forbid. Oh, fuck. Come October, he wants to boost his numbers with the youth, so he comes out with his weed legalization plan. I do not think that there will be a single Trump voter, person who is going to vote for him, who will be like, okay, that's it. That's the line. I'm out. So I don't know why he hasn't. Not to give the man advice, but it just seems like there's only upside. So I don't know. It doesn't seem like you're going to lose votes. Who is the person so offended by weed now that are willing to switch their political alliance, a thing that they are not willing to change for their spouse or their own children, but they'll do it for weed? Our political identities are so absolutely, completely cemented in the United States. I wasn't exaggerating. Many families and relationships fracture over these things because they are that part of who you are in America, poisonously. And I don't think weed is going to be the thing that's going to be like, all right, well, I'm going to switch, you know. It seems like a political, just free points, or at the absolute worst, a net zero. All right, come on in. Here you go, little guy. Trying to get our weed down into the chamber. Part of our love-hate with the Puffco. Grueling process. Oh no! No! We're still close. Go on. Oh no! Exhilarating stream. I'm making a sticky mess. That's just gonna have to be good enough. We did get it down there. It's in. It doesn't have to go in the whole way to still make a sticky mess. That is the greatest piece of advice I can give anybody. Um, okay, let's get caught up. I'm so sorry, everybody. We got a lot of talk from Camiar about Snoop Dogg, our Long Beach local legend. And speaking of Trump, another bizarro looking to be Trump convertee. Boy, do I not understand any of it. I am looking over Grovel and Emil's discussion here. Emil, I'm so sorry if I'm still saying that incorrectly, says he's in Massachusetts where they actually decriminalized psychedelics in 6 cities. I didn't realize Massachusetts had some municipalities that had done it. That's real neat. He said, one thing I learned during advocating for plant medicine is how little lawmakers know about it and how to enforce it. Yeah, that's a great thing about being a lawmaker is you don't have to be particularly knowledgeable about the subject in which you are now in charge of creating, manufacturing, shepherding. Representative democracy. The thing about representative democracy is um, it's representative of the population and representative of the population. And a lot of people are kind of idiots. So that wasn't as in my mind that sounded cooler than when it came out. But you know, when we ask ourselves like, how did the people of Georgia, whatever district, elect Marjorie Taylor Greene? How could they have done something so foolish? Don't they know who that woman is? And the only possible retort to that is, do you not know who the people of her voting district are? Like, they knew exactly who they were voting for, and she is giving them exactly what they want. That's representative democracy. Lorenzo Taylor says, love the haircut. Thank you, Lorenzo Taylor. Now, Lorenzo, let me tell you this, and I'm gonna put it back out here because I think I'm gonna say it was a good burn, and a solid ass burn. Our friend Disconnected Automaton, if you're still out there, DA, let us know. Came in dropping bombs and said, hey, who replaced Wheats with Jimmy Neutron's mom? And I said, let me Google Jimmy Neutron's mom. And then I said, shit. The shit of, he's right. I'm like Jimmy Neutron's mom, except, thank Christ, without all the internet porn. And that is not an invitation. Emil says, still speaking of decriminalization and rescheduling, reclassification. Real mushmouthed today, guys. Stumbling on all the words. Did I share my picture of Jimmy Neutron's mom? Judy Neutron. Oh, I already shared it. Holy shit. Puffco Peak. For example, here in Amherst, we were able to pass a decriminalization initiative where you can possess 2 grams of psilocybin and 1 gram of LSD. But he says that is taking advantage of their ignorance because the local lawmakers, our ignorant politicians, were unaware of just how much, because we anchor, like, politicians probably were thinking of weed, right? Somebody, it's so easy to just anchor somebody like that. You go, you want to dupe your local city council into let you carry way more LSD than you really need to carry on you. What do? Well, one, you trust that they're not going to go do any research themselves. 2, you're going to realize that they're poorly funded enough that they don't have aides to research these issues themselves. And then 3, you're going to exploit the fucking shit out of that by doing something like, in Amherst, we allow a citizen to carry up to 28 grams of marijuana on them at any given time. And we are looking to, start an initiative here to decriminalize uh, psychedelics, and then you offer the city, you don't even give, like, you don't say how much somebody should be able to carry. You just let the city decide themselves, and they'll just anchor themselves to the marijuana number, even though it has nothing to do with the other things. They'll just say, like, oh, you can have 28 units of marijuana. Well, LSD is a worse drug than marijuana, so maybe you can only have 4 units of 4 of the LSD on you. Not thinking about anything else, just taking one number and thinking it has something to do with the new number that you are generating, even though they are totally uncorrelated, and making policy based on it. You can go to 1,000 people right now and ask them their social security number. Ask them to think of their social security number. Just go up to anybody. But you have to do get a big sample. Go to 1,000 folks. Ask them to think of their social security number. And then to ask them to pick a number from 1 to 100. After they pick the number and reveal it to you, ask them like what the leading digit of their social security number is, and it will be the leading 3 digits. And it will be closer to the number that they picked as their 1 through 100 or whatever. Just because you see one number, you've got a number in your brain. Our brains are lazy. They want to take shortcuts. They think, number related to number, we'll just use this as a 1 to start with. Anchoring, man, it's a powerful, powerful bias. And can be used to get yourself extra LSD. Dope. Thank you for the political tactics. And thank you for being an advocate for decriminalization. He also says decriminalization is way better than legalization, which is why I'm very hesitant about the move to a Schedule III substance, since I'm currently in the cannabis industry. I totally see why you would be worried. I cannot imagine that the federal government is looking to nuke from orbit the explosively budding cannabis industry. There are a lot of people employed there. There is a lot of investment there. And it is just a great way to make the youth hate you, which is kind of the last thing Biden needs right now. Joe Biden, man, you don't fuck this up. I'm still going to take it as a joyous thing. I'm still going to believe it's going to go okay, because I can't imagine them wanting to do something to just utterly sabotage themselves like that. CB Punisher says, I would suggest you try MM again after about a week tolerance break of weed, since THC to the brain is a mild form of acid type. He said he had that effect as well, or that issue as well, and that fixed it. Interesting, CB Punisher. I had never heard anybody recommend that before, but I will certainly give it a try. Next time I come across mushrooms, it's been a while, I will absolutely take a tolerance break ahead of time in preparation. I'd love to see them at their strongest. I would just love to sort of have that experience, but I hope it's just that I'm not incapable. Gravel asks a very relevant question. He says, do I think YouTube will back off weed tubers now? Yeah. I don't think Gravel, other than the like very first time where they banned everybody for a while, like there was a moment where, I mean, literally anybody who was doing weed stuff got totally banned. And that had to have been a policy decision, and that had to have been pulled back. I am not unconvinced. As a matter of fact, I'm guessing every sort of weird, short-term ban I've had, strike I've had, removing from the partner program I've had, has not been determined by any human or even any kind of change of policy, really. I bet it is all 100% algorithmically driven. Like, for some reason, something flags at some point, maybe on a video like 3 people decided to make a targeted campaign and report it for something, and then that auto generates the like, oh, we think that there is this content in here that we know that there isn't. And of course there's nobody you can talk to on my end to figure anything out or to figure out exactly what had happened. I think it's just that they were never fully embraced the idea of people doing weed here, and never fully gave it absolute blessing or permission, but I don't think that they were like intentionally, other than that moment where they banned and then unbanned everybody, messing with people. I just don't, I think weed stuff on YouTube is so niche and small that it just wasn't even a concern for them. Like, some things at some point, because of, a lot of these tokens that they use for the videos and tags have, they use pairings with other similar tags and videos. So if you have something that's weed related, it probably already puts you in categories of other tags that are far more illicit. And if for some reason the YouTube algorithm thinks that you have weed content, but somewhere in your video you say the word heroin or something totally unrelated, it just might automatically say, oh, look, this is, hardcore drug content. Boom, this channel gets a strike or removed from the partner program or whatever. No human ever decided that. No person ever rescinds it or whatever. It's just total randomness and the black box of the system that YouTube runs to make these decisions that lead to all this stuff with weed. Because weed is mildly salacious, not, actually not, weed, YouTube has never said this can't exist here, but it is sort of, if not a gray area, not a clearly defined, sanctioned activity to do on the platform. And it probably gets it associated with other more illicit things. And if several of those things trip, boom, you're gone. So that being said, because weed is now less illegal, do I think YouTube will take the time to tighten up some of these things, make some of these, issues that I know other people will go through too, not just me, fix them? I sincerely doubt it, for the same reason that they uh, let it happen to begin with, which is it's just too small. Like, if they lose a couple of 100,000 views, so be it. They'll make that up in a fraction of a second. But I hope not. I hope not. Fingers crossed. We shall see. Sega says Sega Genesis and Ghost in the Shell. A great console and a anime that I did watch Ghost in the Shell. That is one of the few anime movies that I have seen. I watched that and Akira in early pandemic times. I liked Akira a lot. Ghost in the Shell was okay. CB Punisher says the only downside is the alcohol industry. Granted, there's lost my train of thought with that one, CB Punisher. My bad. Forgot what we were talking about. John Phantom, welcome back. John says, I went to the dispensary here in Florida and got to tell the bud tenders about scheduling. I also bought 14 grams of vapes and 2 ounces of flowers. What a haul, John. What a haul. And you got to go deliver some good news. You made some bud tender real happy that day, I'm sure. You really brightened their mood. Damn, that is a lot of weed. John, in addition to being our most well-traveled international man friend, also a fellow Massachusettsian. What do we call somebody from Massachusetts? Massachusetts, you and all your weirdly named, weirdly pronounced cities. I'll never, ever, 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 ever get over the shame. As I close my eyes at night, still, once a month, 10, 11 times a year, right as I'm about to drift off and going to sleep, I remember that time in class where I said, Worcestershire, Massachusetts. And the teacher looked at me and said, you dumb fuck. It's Worcester. And everybody pointed and laughed. Because they are from East Tennessee and I don't know. Anyways, I did really one time actually mispronounce. It's Worcester. I read it and somebody's like, no, that is not how you say that. And then they told me how you say it and I was like, how the fuck was I ever supposed to know? I apologize to the good folks of Worcester, Massachusetts. John says he was born in Springfield, Massachusetts. I thought you were born in the Virgin Islands. My bad. He says, but was recently rated as the 12th worst city by USA Today. Number 12. Not bad. I'd only worry if I made it in the top 10. What could be... I'm trying to think. What are going to be our top worst cities? They're all going to be Rust Belts and some Sun Belts. Your Michigan cities, your Ohio cities, and your maybe Mississippi cities. I'm going to guess those states are pretty well represented on that list. Well, John and Emil both learning that they are born in the same place, Springfield, Massachusetts. The city, I don't know if this is true or not. I always heard this, that it is the most named city. That seems wrong. It seems like it should be Washington, but the most named city in the United States, like all 50 states have a Springfield, something like that. Which is, in The Simpsons, why it's called Springfield, and they never reveal what state it's in because it could theoretically be in any of them. All right, in we go. Quicker this time. Well, I'm already back to, I think the love affair with the Puffco Peak, short-lived. I'm already back to being annoyed with it. That being said, let's get one last good one out of it here. Later, Grovel. Take care, man. Thanks for hanging out. And let's get our last dab going here. I may be back later this evening for more streaming. I can't promise. I'd like to. But I probably will not be back tomorrow. It's possible I will, but right now I think I've got too many things to, what do we call it? Irons in the fire, pokers in the oven, mixing all our metaphors up here. So I may miss tomorrow, but I hope to be back later tonight. Maybe with some flour. Go to the dispensary. Joe Hernandez, good to see you, man. Did I forget to turn it on? Here we go. Heating up. Here we are. Real nice. Okay. Well, I hope. That is nice. Okay. Maybe I do love it again. Real hot and cold here. I hope to see some of you guys later this evening. I hope I get a chance to come back and stream for a while. I wanted to come on early today once I heard about the news and do a quick celebration with everybody. Thank you so much for coming, hanging out for a little bit here. Sorry for the shorter stream. As I said, just really wanted to come out and do some dabs, celebrate. But hopefully we'll be back tomorrow or tonight. Probably not back tomorrow, but we should be back to our more regular schedule by the end of the week. So thanks everyone for hanging out, getting high, and we'll catch you guys on a later.